Hi, I'm Pastor Roger from Valley Baptist Church. I want to take just a few moments to speak to our church family about what's going on and what we might expect in the future. I know most of us were pretty excited last week when the President of the United States stated that churches are essential and that they should reopen as far as their public worship. And then I was also really encouraged when our governor in our own state said that on Monday he would release guidelines so churches could reopen. He even stated that the guidelines would be different for mega churches than they would be for small neighborhood churches, which was really, really encouraging to me. We started planning about what the governor might say, and we anticipated that there would be social distancing and sanitation and wearing masks and those kind of things. And we kind of anticipated that there would be 25% occupancy of the building could be used. So we planned on having 5 different services that I was going to preach on Fruitvale, and we were going to microwave it over to Ollie Drive campus and have 2 services on Mount Vernon. So we were really formulating our plans to be able to have church this coming Sunday morning. And then when the guidelines came out, I was disappointed, as I'm sure many people were, that he didn't make a distinction, as he said he would, between the mega church and the small church, that it's 25% of occupancy or 100 people in attendance, whichever is less. Well, for us, that means we would have to have 40 different services in order to meet that criteria. So for now, we're going to need to continue our online services, Facebook Live, our church streaming, YouTube, television, all those venues that we've kind of got used to in the last several weeks, being able to worship together, even separately in our homes. But we begin to think, what could we do that could still meet the governor's guidelines? Now, before, what we were thinking is that we would have public worship services, even though they would be smaller, but we would not have life groups. Well, now we're reversing that. Beginning this Sunday, we're going to have some life groups, small group Bible studies of adults on our campus. We still are not going to be able to do children's ministry because they're not very good at social distancing. Sometimes even as adults, we're not real good at social distancing, but they're really not. We're also not going to have any youth classes, at least to begin with. But we are going to provide a time where your life group or small group can meet on our campus. Now, with social distancing, where we're supposed to stay 6 feet apart, we can't use the regular room that maybe you've been used to meeting to, because then people are kind of shoulder to shoulder. Our rooms are filled. So we have a handful of large rooms that we can use, and we're going to have to use them over and over again. And we're going to have to scatter these life group times out from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 6 o'clock in the evening. And the reason is we're going to have to sanitize the rooms in between the meeting of life groups. So your life group teacher will be receiving an email that will tell them what room they're assigned to and what time you can meet. Now, I know some life groups may want to continue to meet on Zoom instead of in person because maybe you have older members or people that have health challenges, and you go, it's really not safe for us to meet. And that's fine. We're not telling life groups that they have to meet. But now if you have young children, if they're old enough, of course, they could stay home, but you may have to bring your children with you to a life group. And I know that's a big challenge. Some life groups may want to meet off campus, but if they do, we still expect them to follow the guidelines as laid out by the governor and by CDC and by our church. And we're going to issue those guidelines just so that you understand it. It involves taking your temperature, wearing a mask at least till you get to your seat where you're distanced from one another. It involves a lot of sanitation of the rooms and so forth. So that's where we're at. Beginning this Sunday, we're going to meet, but not in public worship. Instead, we're going to continue our worship as it is, online and television, but we're going to meet as life groups. Now, it won't be the same. I understand that. But you'll be able to see your friends. You'll be able to pray together, hear a lesson, fellowship together. And so it'll be different, but it'll still be good. Now, all that's subject to change because I know the governor has a lot of a lot of political pressure right now to change. And I know there's been a number of lawsuits that have already been filed. Now, the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that he had the authority to do this concerning churches, but that could get overturned. We don't know what the judiciary is going to do, but it's probably going to take some time. So at least for this Sunday, we're talking about life groups meeting on our campus. And so be praying about whether you want to be a part of that. You'll probably hear from your teacher of where your life group is going to meet and what time they're going to meet. Now, I heard a saying once, and this is not in the Bible, but it sounds a lot like one of the Beatitudes of Jesus, and it is this: blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken. So we're going to have to be flexible. This is completely different. We're going to give instruction of which door to go in, which door to go out, and all those kind of things that just seem like it's way more trouble than it's worth, but it's not. It's worth it for us to be able to meet together, study the Bible together in our small groups. Now, this may flip in just a few weeks. I mean, the governor said that after 21 days, he would reevaluate how many people could meet and worship. Now, I don't know if that means that he'll raise it to 150 or to 200 or 500. We just don't know how long this schedule will continue. Maybe a short time, maybe a few weeks. We don't know. That's why we need to be flexible. And you know what else? We need to be gracious. We need to be gracious with other people. We need to be gracious with those that may disagree with us. You may have an opinion about the severity of this virus and about social distancing and about wearing a mask, and the person right next to you may disagree with you. And so we need to show a lot of grace to one another and be patient with one another. And of course, we need to be submissive to our government. The Bible says we're to do that. Now, when you think about submission, it never comes into play if you agree with it. It never comes into play if it's something you want to do. If it's something you want to do, it's not submission. You're just doing what you want to do. Submission only comes into play when it's something you don't want to do or when it's something that you disagree with. And yet, Romans 13, it says, be subject to the governing authorities. So even if you maybe disagree with some of these guidelines, that's what it means to be subject. That's what it means to be submissive. And so this may change. There may be cases eventually where this becomes a issue of religious liberty. But right now it's an issue of crowds because schools aren't meeting, there's not sporting events, there's not concerts. If that changes, and there's concerts and there's sporting events, but they say no churches over 100, then it becomes a religious liberty issue, and that we will have to address that as it comes. So anyway, it's good news and bad news. The bad news is it's going to be different. The bad news is there's going to be a lot of social distancing, that kind of thing. The good news is we're going to be on this campus in different rooms with people that you know, with people that you love. Now, I don't know if I'll run into you this Sunday. And so, God bless you until we meet again.